Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today's Tuesday, April 1st, 4:53 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state starting off the new quarter under a moderate correction and starting the new quarter with the four loafed red arrows. Market leaders still in red, protect mode. Short term, we're trading below the 21 EMA. Medium term, we're below the 50 SMA, and long term, we're below the 200 SMA. And as you know, it's always a risk off market when you're trading below the long term 200-day moving average. And that's basically what we're seeing in the market right now. Choppy day, we're on the hunt for relative strength. Energy question mark, that was strong today. So we're just looking for, the silver linings, growth names that are holding up, sector rotation, all of that, and I'll cover that when I get into the charts. 21 over 21 list still under construction. We're watching names, but a lot of them are under the 21, and the market is just kind of holding them back. But here are the final numbers. Big 8 up 1.42%, RG8 up 0.28%. S&P up 0.38, RSP up 10 basis points, QQQ leading the way up 0.81%, equal weight up 0.57, Dow Jones flat, mid caps up 0.5%, Russell 2000 flat, 60/40 up 20 basis points, and GROTECTION flat on the day. Let's take a look at the inter-asset correlation, and we'll start with chart S&P 500. And we had that reversal on Monday, falling up, closing above yesterday's high. So that's a step in the right direction. Down here is a good line in the sand, and we're just really into this range. Got the declining 821 200-day to work with up here. But for now, tradable low here. And as do want to see this hold. Now it just kind of looks like we're forming a range here. And, likely late people that shorted are getting frustrated, and people that are long here. So in the choppy market, both bears and bulls get hurt. RSP, similar thing. Actually didn't undercut these lows, so minor relative strength, higher low. So let's see if we can get back above the 200-day moving average. Q's undercut and reclaimed as well, closed above Monday's high. Good stuff there. See what happens if it gets up into this range. And, it really does look like we're going to be building a new range down here. Mag 7, some relative strength again, similar, a lot of undercut and reclaims. So, no one knows if this is the bottom, but gives you a good low to trade against. Dow Jones coming back up against the 200-day today. Mid caps again, actually never came against this low here. So slight relative strength, closing above Mondays, but 50-day is crossing below the 200-day today. They call that the death cross. Usually nothing good happens, but maybe it sorts itself out. That's something to be aware of right here. Russell 2000 got the death cross already, and undercut and reclaimed those lows. We'll see, but from a trend follower perspective, when the 50 days below the 200-day, that's not a good look. And it's just a good time to be patient. You're not really going to miss a whole lot until you get back above that 50 and 200-day moving average. Likely a lot of frustration down here. ARC, see if we can get back above the 200-day. FFTY, again, slight relative strength with the higher low here. The VIX came back down today, at 21, sub 22, so that's good. Want to see this stay low for lower volatility, and lower this comes, paves the way for rallying the S&P. Dollar starting to come back up here as well. Gold, we did an offensive trim on this one today. Starting to get a little bit extended, right? You can't see ATR from the 50-day moving average on here, but I was looking at this. It's about, it's almost, 7-8 ATR above the 50-day here. So historically speaking, that is extended for gold and tends to mean revert when it gets that extended. So locking in some gains there. GDX holding up well again, riding the 8 higher. Silver still building in the space. Think this looks really good. The gold to silver ratio still hints that silver might play catch up to gold here, crafting out in the space really nicely. Bitcoin, minor relative strength. Could be a proxy for risk on, risk off. If this starts to come around again, that could be good for the NASDAQ and tech stocks. We got bonds here, building above the 200-day moving average. They look pretty good. TLT, same thing. These are looking pretty good, breaking big trend line. And when you see this, big head and shoulders on rates. So if these break down through the neckline, that could lead to a big move on bonds. You can see it here as well. So yeah, this could lead to a nice move on bonds, starting to break down already. Alrighty, that's the inter-asset correlation. Let's take a look at the tape. Let's see. This morning we had ISM numbers and JOLTS. Job openings continue to grind lower. It's the lowest reading since September of 2024. And then Friday we had that big jobs report. Just still on the bear case. We're still trading below the 21 EMA. We need to get back above that, see some further upside. Day count up 2, 4 days below the 8, 5 days below the 21. And the keys today, just the S&P versus the 21, same with the Qs, both red arrows there. And then tomorrow, watching the same stuff. And I put leaders on there. What sectors are standing out? Is there any names showing some relative strength, as we could get a fall through day on Thursday? So you want to have your list of names ready if we get that follow through day, and you already know where the relative strength has been leading to it, because stocks always lead. Still negative expectations. And the action today, we opened up lower 60, first hour, put in the low of the day, and there was a choppy 90-point range, strong close back above 5,600. Sectors wise, Bitcoin, oil, retail, software, cyber, weakness, biotech. That sector has been extremely weak. Healthcare is weak. Semiconductors continue to be weak. China pulled back a little bit, getting super tight, super low volume, and then financials. And then GROTECTION today, offensive trim on gold, locking in some profits, and then took a starter in XLE. Bottom line, choppy markets continue looking for the relative strength. All right, let's take a look here. I'll show this XBI, chart. Instead of curing cancer, this chart looks like it has cancer. And I mean, this just continues to get wrecked. Huge volume, not a sector you want to be in. And I'm going to just use this as an example of how you just got to follow price. In 2024, we were looking at this big stage one base on the cusp of breaking out, and it never really broke out. We never really bought it, as it just never could fall through. And now it's just, and from failed moves come fast moves, and now it's totally breaking down. So that's that. We obviously don't have a 21 over 21 list, so I'll just take a look at some names I like. We'll take a look at XLE first. This one looks great. Huge bases in energy land, as you can see, nearly, has been really consolidating since 2022. So, the bigger base, the higher in space, this one looks really good. People are definitely flocking to here. Look at some of the leaders. CVX, this is a leader in the sector. And take a look at XOM, right? Another leader. FTI, relative strength line, new highs before price. That's pretty bullish. So tons of names in the oil and gas sector. And then you can look at some other ones like natural gas. TurboTection owns this one. This is, another new high today in the natural gas. This one's showing the most relative strength compared to AR. This one also looks good, but not at highs. You have EQT, another one, very similar chart to AR, looks great. You have LNG. Another one that's got a power 3 setup here with a downtrend line. And then you also have CRK. This is another one, a little more higher beta name, double bottom base. And this one's looking to break out. So, these ones look really good. Some other ones we're watching, Uber, right? This one is just forming a really big base. This weekly looks fantastic. And this has got a cup and handle base, and really, great numbers here. Like the story here. This one obviously just needs the market, but 2 wicks under the 200-day moving average. So risk to reward on this name in a potential leader is looking pretty good. So if the market starts to turn around, this one's definitely one that we're watching. And, this one's only, it is 16% off the highs, but compare that to like some of these other leaders, right? Palantir's 32% off its highs. Look at NVIDIA, 28% off its highs. BRT 51% off its size. So to me, that says Uber's being bought, accumulated down here. So keep an eye on this one. This one continues to set up really nicely. John Deere, this is another one. Undercut and reclaim of the 821 and 50-day today, although volume was light, but this one's got a trend line from here. And on the topic of nice weekly basis, this one broke 2022 highs, kind of undercut and reclaimed it, and this one's kind of forming a continuation here. So again, this one looks good and only 7% off the highs, and this one's not too tech related. So not going to be as correlated to the NASDAQ and whatnot. Let's see some other ones. There is take a look at China FXI. This one, it's pulling back to the 50-day moving average, which is fine after this big run up. And as you can see, this volume has been contracting big time. The volume today was extremely light and a super tight inside day. And sometimes love to see that tightness in these charts as the 50-day catches up. Take a look at KWeb as well. Similar story here, in this pullback, volume is declining quite a bit. Kind of tells me that, there aren't really too many sellers. This is just going through the natural price progression. Big move up, pullback, consolidation, get tight. So this continues to be on the top of our list here, just watching this sector. The leader, BABA, again, same thing. Look at how light this volume is getting. Extreme dry up in volume, pulling back. It's got a downtrend line here. That 50 days catching up. At the highs, it was like 7, 8, 9 ATR above the 50-day moving average. Now it's about 1.9 ATR above the 50-day. So after that big move up, it's working off a lot of that oversold or overbought conditions. And then we can take a look at some, Tesla. This had a strong day today. Slight relative strength, although it's a huge laggard. It's coming against this 200-day and this. This 200-day and the 50-day are areas of interest above. Nevertheless, building, two higher lows here and having a strong day. Meta, this one's holding the 200-day. That's a good sign for the bulls. Amazon's still below. Apple, again, still below. And then Netflix, this one looks obviously one of the better ones, holding above the 200-day moving average as well. So good action there. Then one thing I wanted to show is, we'll take a look at some of these industry groups, right? Just talking about where the money is flowing and just kind of, it's gold. This is the number one industry group. And then, medical, there's a couple medical, tobacco. Take a look at Philip Morris, MO as well, Altria. Oil and gas, very strong. Again, big base here. Insurance, we've mentioned some of those. You have TRV, AIG, and then, retail, BJ's, that was in our 21, continues higher. So that one looks good. Aerospace and defense as well is up there. So you can see when you kind of just take a look at the leading industry groups, you're not seeing a lot of tech names in that group, and that just kind of shows you what type of market we're in right now. Not super risk on. And then we can take a look. We'll take a look at last week's 21 over 21 list and just see top gainers on the day. SE, this is another one, non-US stock. This one looks poised. This one's trying to break out here. Power 3, really nice. Take 2, nice bounce off the 50-day. Robinhood, kind of building higher low, but sells all these overhead. Supply, MP, nice reclaim of the 50-day. YumC, another China name with a beautiful base here. That's just those are that. Take a look at Palantir. Again, just got these downward sloping moving averages. Spotify coming back up. It's very sloppy, not a ton of setups. And really, there's just not a ton of setups in tech. There's a lot of setups in, oil and gas, natural gas, silver, gold, although gold's a little bit extended why we trimmed some today. But, just being patient here. Market's really choppy, trying to find the relative strength, focus on the fat pitches that show up and not trying to force trades in a choppy market as if you look back in history, choppy markets can last longer than you think. So, that is kind of really all I got for today. As always, like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com, and you can reach out to Dan or Donna at revereasset.com. Phone is 855 Real Wealth. That is 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. And we name our flagship portfolio GROTECTION. Dual mandate, growing up trends, protect in downtrends, and we're in protection mode, as you can see, 4 red arrows. So that is going to wrap it for Tuesday. Hope you guys enjoyed and have a good rest of your evening.